The crowd roared with anticipation, thousands of voices vibrating through the cool spring air. On the platform, the podium stood empty. John Kennedy, the man whose voice could command nations, whose words could ignite hope in the hearts of millions, had refused to speak. Behind the scenes, aides whispered, journalists fumed, and supporters grew restless. Kennedy had promised a speech that would inspire, that would rally the people to believe in a brighter future, but now, silence lingered over the sea of expectant faces. Inside the press tent, Kennedy's fingers drummed against the leather-bound notebook he always carried. He stared at the crowd, but his eyes were distant, lost in a storm of doubts. He had prepared for months, rehearsed every line, every pause, every inflection, but tonight, none of it felt right. The issues he was meant to speak about, economy, civil rights, foreign policy, they seemed hollow, distant from the real struggles he had seen on the campaign trail. Tonight, words felt like they might fall flat, like they might betray the very people he wanted to reach. He heard the murmurs of frustration, the quiet pleading of his aides, the mounting tension in the air. And then, something small and almost imperceptible caught his attention. Near the front of the rally, a child, a little boy, no older than 7, stood clutching a worn Bible. The edges were frayed, the cover faded from use, but the boy held it as though it were the most precious thing in the world. His wide eyes looked up at Kennedy with unshakable faith and trust. For a moment, Kennedy froze. The crowd blurred. All the strategies, all the speeches, all the political calculations melted away. There was only the boy. Only the courage and innocence in those eyes, and the quiet, unwavering belief that Kennedy could make a difference. It was a moment that demanded authenticity, demanded honesty. Kennedy realized that his words did not have to be perfect, they had to be real. They had to reach the hearts of people, not just their minds. He stepped forward slowly, his hands gripping the sides of the podium, feeling the weight of expectation, but also a renewed sense of purpose. The boy's gaze never wavered. Kennedy took a deep breath and began, not with policy, not with rhetoric, but with a story, his story, the story of a man who had once been unsure, frightened even, but who had learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the determination to act despite it. He spoke of his childhood, of his parents' struggles, of the moments when he had doubted his own abilities, and of the faith that had carried him through dark times. The crowd fell silent, hanging on every word. Kennedy spoke of hope, of unity, of the belief that every person, regardless of age, race, or circumstance, could make a difference. He acknowledged the pain and the injustice in the world but reminded them that even the smallest acts of compassion and courage could ignite change. The boy in the front.